just need to buy a bigger mirror and get in front of it every day or what it is. But
Yeah.
my time is ticking. I need to figure this out sooner rather than later because I think I'm peaking right now.
All right. I think I might keep what you just said as the intro. All right. Are
Well,
you
I mean,
ready for this?
I've had people say that to me a few times, like, not to sound overly vain or anything, but like, T, like, if you took more selfies, like, you'd have so many more followers. Like, if you had more mirror pics and stuff on your page, but I'm trying my hardest not to be a sellout,
Yeah,
and it's fucking hard.
yeah. You're,
There's only so many times you can have people ask you if you're a Nike model yet
yeah,
before it really just starts getting to you and you think of alternate ways to get it done and get
yeah,
yourself out there.
yeah, for
So,
sure.
all
All right. I got to save this for the conversation. All
right.
right. You ready? All right. Welcome back to Lionheart Radio. I'm your host, Rick Alexander, founder of Lou Aviv, based in San Diego, California. And today I'm here with Tara Nicole, the founder of Thrive Fit and a Sacramento-based personal trainer. Thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So today, this is going to be our very first interview that Lionheart Radio has done over the computer. So we're going to try real hard not to screw this up and hope that chemistry stays good enough for the listeners. All right. So you graduated college a few years ago, 2 years ago, or 1 year ago?
Yep, 2015.
Okay. But you started personal training while you were in school?
Yeah, 20. So it was my going into my junior year that summer.
Okay. So what I want to do today is I want to talk about, so we did an episode a few episodes back, like one of the very first ones we did was the state of the fitness industry. And we talked about, and we talked about like how, well, essentially to be a thought leader in the fitness industry today, to be successful, the business models have shifted and it's a lot more, like we were talking about before the show, it's a lot more based on like the amount of likes you get in a selfie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Than it is necessarily what you know.
Knowledge and quality of, yeah.
Yeah. So you, as a coming up personal trainer, I think you have a really good grasp and perspective on what it kind of takes to try to make it. And then at the same time, you've done your own thing, and you've also worked corporate. So for people that are interested in getting involved in the fitness industry, you have a really good perspective. You can kind of tell them the pros and cons to both, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, do you typically train athletes or do you typically train people? Or just, I get
your
that athletes
everyday,
are people, but
yeah. It's usually the everyday person. I would prefer to train athletes because that's my background, from playing college basketball and sports my whole life.
yeah,
And obviously it's a little easier to deal with. Not to say that in a bad way, but dealing with an athlete, they have that mindset already to where it's like you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to babysit them into thinking like, hey, this is what I'm here for. This is the workout. It's going to be hard, whatever. Like that part is covered. They have that mindset down.
yeah,
Whereas with your everyday person, it's a lot more, I don't want to say babysitting, but essentially sometimes it is babysitting. So yeah, right now, especially at the gym that I'm at with overall demographic, it's more so just your everyday person. But if I had it my way, I'd want to train athletes.
yeah. Before I went into the military, I was a personal trainer, and what I found is, well, what's good about athletes is they expect to put in the work. It seems like,
Yeah, right.
right, where you don't always get that with people. And what I found, which kind of bugged me, is when I was a personal trainer and I was dealing with like Gen Pop personnel, you would talk to them and you almost had to be their motivator, like more than you had to be
You're
like
their crutch.
right, exactly. And I remember I spent a ton of time programming for this lady and setting up a whole circuit. And then I like go around and I'm explaining to her and I'm super excited. And then she like looks at me and she's like, "Oh, do I have to do this?"
Yeah.
It's like that
That's
attitude.
what I'm saying with the mindset. It's very rare that I found that mindset is already there.
Right.
Typically, if they're older, it seems a lot worse. Most of my clients are like middle age, like 30s, and I think it's because they've been out of the game so long that it's kind of just like when their head is all over the place and they don't they don't have that mindset just going into it. But with the younger ones, it's a little better, but their goals are also a lot different from those people, which motivates them differently, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. What goals do you normally see with your Gen Pop client?
People just want to lose weight, but
Want
like
tone?
unreal, that freaking word, every time
Yeah,
I hear it,
yeah.
every time I hear it, oh my, it just makes me cringe right now. But yeah, I had someone say that she would rather she didn't want to do any cardio, which I was like, all right, I'm cool with that. But she phrased it saying she wanted to focus on toning and strengthening. And I was just like, okay.
So, all right. So, well, let's break it down. So, like, when somebody comes in and they say, "I want to," because I got that all the time too. Like,
That's like
oh,
90% of females.
yeah, absolutely. Like, oh, I just want to tone. Which, I don't want to make this. It seems like a lot of podcasts come back to CrossFit, and I don't want to make it CrossFit. But that's one thing CrossFit does well. For whatever reason, they've attracted women that, and
Mm-hmm.
they've gotten the point across that performance is more important than toning.
Yeah, or at least they use the word muscle.
Right. 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 So when somebody says I want to tone, like what are they like? What do they mean? What do you take it for? Or do you try to break it down and like get
Yeah, I
into?
do, because usually they do it with the, I don't know if you can see, but they do it with the like, I want to tone here, I want this more toned, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
point to their midsection, they're touching their fat or what they wish were abs, and they're like, I want to tone this, and then they go for the butt after. It's always the same three spots, like
So like
tries,
the under, yeah, the
go to the
tricep.
midsection, yeah, and then they go to the butt, and
Yeah.
usually the hips too.
And
So
so when they come in and they talk about that, do you have like a template, or do you make every single, do you program specifically for what they talk about? You must have a tone template by this point.
no, right? Yeah. Um, well, first, like, because I mean, personal training is informing people one, So I always stop people in their tracks. I'm like, listen, please
Yeah.
don't say tone. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
Yes, your arms can look like toned and have definition to them, but I prefer for you to say definition or that you'd want to build muscle.
Yeah. Okay.
And then once they kind of like, okay, okay, they understand that. It still takes them a while because that's their natural. That's what they've known for a while. That like this is tone. This is what you do. But then from there, like they don't know that toning is strength training. That they want to build muscle to get that toned look. So
Right.
from there, it's just like, okay, I'm listening to you. I'm hearing what you're saying, but we're never going to use that word again, and we're just going into a strength program here. So that's all it turns into. So it's like based on who the client is, it's not. I don't have like a go-to like template or whatever how you were saying, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if it's someone who wants to tone, then we're gonna be lifting weights within your programming. So
Right.
that's just
Right.
kind of how I approach it. And then, they may sprinkle that word in every so often. And I'm like, I'm consciously reminding people, like, yo, please don't say that shit around me
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's not a thing. So, yeah. And I read, like, the history of that word, too, how, like, it started back when women were shaving, when, like, the Gillette company got super big for promoting or targeting women to shave. That's kind of the era when it started because building muscle sounded way too masculine and they wanted something a little more feminine, so it ended up being toning. And I was like, Jesus, like
Really? That's where that
first,
came from?
yeah, first the hairy legs, now the toning. Like,
Damn.
thanks. So, but
It's,
yeah, that's a little fun fact.
I wonder how many, you gotta wonder like how many things like that derived from like the Mad Men days of marketing, like back in the early,
Seriously, yeah.
yeah. It's funny how many
So
like
many
things in
things.
pop culture.
Things
Yeah.
that we probably don't even think about now, but
Right.
yeah.
But it's funny if you think about it. It's like now, whatever middle-aged woman, whatever younger girl, she's literally reciting what Gillette wanted a woman to feel 40 years
Yeah.
ago at the gym. Now,
Yeah.
like that is goddamn powerful marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lasting impression. So
yeah.
I think it was
So,
in, I don't know, go for it.
you all right? So you came from an athletic background. You said you played college.
Basketball, yeah. I played for 2 years at the University of San Diego.
Oh, okay, very cool. Well, let's get into that a little bit. Like when you were as a NCAA athlete, did you like what were your workouts look like? Predominantly practice.
Yeah. During that time, like, you couldn't pay me to work out. Like, 'cause you know what I mean? Like, at least for basketball, like, you're thinking about your sport. You don't care about the weight room. At least me and half my teammates didn't. Um, no, I'd say that's pretty average. Most of us, like, especially girls, like, we don't care about going into the weight room and all that. So it's like you spend all this time on the court, 2.5, 3 hours at practice, and then you're expected to go up to weights after, and it's just like, yo,
Yeah,
I don't for
in
that.
college.
So yeah, I was the one in the weight room, like, because we had, I don't know if you know Stefan Roche. I've ever heard of him. He was like big into cross. I think he's still with headquarters right now.
CrossFit
But
headquarters.
yeah, but he
Okay.
was our strength and conditioning coach at USD. Asshole. Like that dude was scary. Like I can't
Yeah.
tell you the number of times he's made me and some of my teammates cry. Like
Really
he was a
brutal.
scary dude. But he was like one of those OG CrossFit dudes. So he didn't have us doing CrossFit, but we called it was Chipper Friday. We had things like that, and it was just basic strength training. But we had like a huge rig in our weight room, and they had us lined up based on strength. And for that like 2 years, I never left that first rig, and I really didn't care, like, because I was
Really.
just weak,
Yeah.
super. So I weighed like 125 when I played basketball and stopped and got like I'm 150 right now, so
Okay. How tall are you?
5'8".
Okay. So
So I
what?
was real.
Yeah. Was it CrossFit style? Like the workouts you were
Uh,
doing then?
Only on Fridays. That's what I was saying. We had little chipper Fridays.
Uh,
But it was like,
the other days you
he
were just
taught us.
lifting.
Yeah, but he taught us cleans and all that. So I had that base going into CrossFit. But for the most part, we did a lot of RDLs, a lot of back squats, bench, and then power cleans. And
Okay.
that was really, and then the rest was just accessory work.
Yeah.
So like glute ham raise, all that stuff.
Just working on like explosiveness, which makes sense. Sport specific.
Yeah, a lot of agility training, but I mean, I was fine with all that stuff. It was just the weights. Like, for some reason, I just wasn't into it when I was playing. I was just like, this shit's stupid. I
Yeah.
just want to go. I think it was just because, like, the mental stress, like, we're all tired, we're exhausted, we're still in school, we're traveling. And the last thing we want to do is to go up and freaking power clean right now. So it's just like, I wasn't a fan back then.
And then when you finished college or at the end of college, you got into CrossFit a little bit, right? Because that's where we met.
Well, I started bodybuilding first because I met Ashley Horner. That's how I met. I worked at Coronado, the community center.
Okay.
Um, and then Ashley Horner had just moved to Coronado, and I had never like, I had never seen anyone that fucking jacked in my life, like in person.
Yeah, she's
So
yoked.
I was just yeah, I was just intrigued by what she looked like,
Mm-hmm.
and like me, I have no filter. I'm pretty outgoing and fine with talking to people. So I just went up to her and started talking to her. And so
Uh-huh.
she got me into, like, I mean, she kind of blew me off, but like, and I just got super uh, stalkerish and looked her up on Instagram and Facebook. And then I found her training programs, which are like, I mean, now they've evolved, but back then she only had like 3 training programs and they were all just super basic hypertrophy training programs, which
Okay.
was like a good base for me because I didn't know anything. All I knew were how to back squat, how to do an RDL, and how to power clean.
Right.
So I went from that to like going in the gym, popping in my headphones, and hitting dumbbell curls and on machines, and I did that for like 7, 8 months, and I was like, this is fucking stupid. Like bored because I
Yeah.
was, the team sports and having
Right.
people with me. So I did that for like 7 months, and like, don't get me wrong, my body changed. Like that's when I like put on all that muscle.
Yeah.
But then I just got bored, and then from there, that's when I hopped into CrossFit.
Okay. So when you're training people now, do you utilize a mix of all of these different disciplines you've gone through or
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, not so much bodybuilding though, just because, well, one, the gym that I work at right now, we don't have machines. The only machine we have is a lat pull down, and no, shoot, that's it. We have the lat pull down, and then like the just the overall like cable rig where you can do like pulls and or not pulls, rows on it and like the little cable cords like with the attachment pieces. We have that big thing. I don't know what
Okay.
it's called. I don't use machines now in my training, put it
Yeah,
that
yeah.
way.
When you say
So it's
bodybuilding,
a lot
though,
more, excuse me?
when you say bodybuilding, you mean like muscle group specific and like high rep
Yeah. Yeah,
hypertrophy.
very isolated. Just, yeah.
Yeah. So now you rely more on the compound movements.
Compound and then a lot of, well, because most of these people are, like I said, middle age, average people who haven't been in a gym or physically active in over a decade. So it's a lot of corrective exercise as well.
Yeah.
Um, and that's like one thing that I'm thankful. Like I had a not a bad experience at Equinox, but I'm appreciative for it because like Equinox has their own school, like their own academy, whatever you want to call it, where it's continued education. So you're learning all this stuff.
For trainers.
But yeah, yeah, yeah. So I learned a lot more over how to train the general public working at Equinox just because we had to study all this stuff. Whereas before, I was used to like young sorority girls, freaking 18 to 22 years old, who's like, they don't have hip problems or shoulder instabilities and like that, and they can just generally move.
Right.
Um, whereas like most people in their 30s, their hips are tight, they're immobile, things like that. So now it's like a mix of I'm definitely a lot more functional than I was before, and then just basics because like strength training is strength training. There's not too much that you can change with that. So then just incorporating different like accessories and mobility tactics, things like that. But definitely not any sort of machine. Like I just don't respect trainers that put you on machines all day and that's their programming for you because it's like you
Right.
don't need body for that.
Yeah. So, because when you started, you were personal training. You started Thrive Fit when you were in college, right?
Yeah, I was shit, 19, 20,
Okay.
20, I think.
Nice. And so you started that, and that was when you were training the sorority girls, as you say,
Yeah, but that was more group training. Like at that point, I had only personally trained what I
like boot
thought was
camp
personal training,
style.
like two people prior to that. But then, yeah, the rest of it was just groups. Had them on the football field at USD, running groups of like 10 to 15 girls, just out there having them do random shit. Like looking back on it now, I was like,
Yeah.
they had girls doing dumb shit. I was like, they liked it. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
but it was more so that like, on Instagram you see those like booty building type of shit. Those girls that post stuff like that. It was a lot
Yeah.
of. I mean, it's like you got to give the people what they want. So
I was gonna say, I mean, at some point you got to meet the market where the money is, you know.
yeah, and you got like freaking alpha fees and gamma phi whatevers, and all they care about is having a big butt. So
Yeah.
and they see you and they're like, "Well, T got a big butt. I want to do what she does." I'm like, "Well, we don't have any weights out here, so the
Right.
next thing is just to sit there and have you pulse in a squat."
Right.
But it created a little like community and name for myself, so I wasn't mad at it. I'm still not mad at it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No, that's cool,
it
and
worked.
that's where I found like when I first met you, that's what you were doing.
Yeah, yeah,
And so that's like
yeah.
a hard thing that I found too, with the supplement company and even with the podcast and stuff. It's like, you want to put out like really great content because, like, for me, I was like born in in fitness for the last
hmm
decade of my life has been like dedicated to, learning different disciplines and going through different like evolutions with the fitness industry. And so you learn like what's right and what's not right. But
You're
at the
right.
same time, the market, the people like that are going to pay you to do this thing that you love, they want, you know, they
They
want
want what they
Brazilian
want.
booty lift. Yeah.
They want what sells. Yeah.
Right, right. So
They want
how
the
have you like
have
how have you navigated
what?
that? How have you navigated that like process of
Honestly, I'm still trying to figure it out because it's super frustrating. Like if we're gonna look at it from social media, anyone who's into fitness who posts about fitness on their social media, like they're lying if they say that their goal with that isn't to get big, to grow a huge following. And like when I first started all this, that was the goal. I was like, yeah, I'm trying to be IG famous right now.
Yeah. Well, that's
But
how you
then,
monetize. Like that's how you make money.
exactly. But then if you're like me, you realize like, yeah, this shit's harder than it looks.
Mm-hmm.
But it's frustrating because you have, I'm to the point now where I think it's like, I may be biased, but I think my Instagram is quality, so decently quality, right?
Yeah.
And then you go and you
Like
see
quality
whoever,
content, you mean?
yeah, and then
Yeah.
you go and you see whoever, 5'4" with the high waisted pants and no shirt on ever, and homegirl has, I don't know, 23,000 followers, and it's like the shit you post is 70% in the mirror or selfie, 20% like you doing donkey kickbacks on a Smith machine, and then 10% is like gangster quotes, or just dumb
Yeah.
shit like that, like memes or whatever, and it's like,
Or like
how?
the pushed up cleavage with the Bible verse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 you're motivating the hell out of me right now, girl, let me tell you. But it's like, how, like
Yeah.
what are they doing that, I mean, I see what they're doing, and I'm trying not to go that route, but you know what I mean? It gets
Yeah.
frustrating aspect. So it's like, because that's what I'm trying to not rebrand, but I guess shift my focus. Because originally I was trying to do the whole like famous, not famous trainer, but like kind of trainer slash model thing. Because I started getting into photography, and people just kept hitting me up for photo shoots, which was sick. But
Yeah, and I've seen you done
you know,
some cool shoots because you've modeled for Core
yeah.
Water.
Yeah, yeah. So like the response, because I thought they were dope shoots too, but the response I got from that and from posting that type of content wasn't what I expected it to be. So then it's like that poses another dilemma. Like, all right, it's not working with the post of me being super informative about, this is how you live, this is what you should be working on. It's
Mm-hmm.
not working when I post like what I think are like dope pictures from professional shoots. So then it's kind of like, all right, well, you know what I mean? Like, what's gonna work for me? Like, how am I gonna get to where I want to be? And then I feel like now I'm at the point where I'm kind of accepting that I'm probably not gonna be IG famous ever. But it's like,
No, don't
I
give
feel
up.
I need, I feel, I feel I need to still like provide quality for the following that I do have. You know what I mean? And, like, I don't want to not sell out, but like I don't want to lose that in that sense to where it's like not that I quit or that I just gave up on it, but it's like I know at the end of the day I'm gonna post what I think is quality, and if it informs people, if it helps people out, it motivates them, whatever, that's great. But my goal is just more self promotion as a trainer at this point. Whereas before it was like, damn, I just want to be fucking famous.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean, social media has revolutionized business outside of fitness too. I mean, just business in general.
yeah, yeah,
If you have a big following and if they listen to you, if they're loyal, like that's why you can't just buy a fucking following, right? Like that's why you
yeah,
have to like build it for real. And what people don't ever realize is like you it's a lot harder than it seems to like build a following, and if you try to
yeah,
do what you think other people are doing, you just look silly as fuck.
yeah. It doesn't work for you. Yeah,
Yeah, like if if you're that guy with like hashtag follow for follow and shit like that, like you just look silly as fuck, so it doesn't work at all. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of what
I
I
love
came
that.
to because building a business, you just realize like, okay, you're not going to get around social media. You have to have it now. It's where the
Yeah.
relevant conversation is taking place. So you have to be there. But at the same time, like, you just, for me, I was like, well, I can't sell my soul. Like, I look dumb trying to do this. So, you know
Exactly.
what I mean? You got to
That's how
like,
I feel about myself. Like, come on now. Like, people that have followed me, what is that gonna look like if you go on Instagram one day and you see me in front of a mirror, shirtless, just like all up on your screen?
yeah,
Gonna look foolish. I'm past that point. Like, there's no turning back. Like, I can't do that shit anymore. It's my experimenting phase. Like, I'm over it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I feel the same way too. But then it's like I just got to be content with where I'm doing and where I'm at with the social media game.
Right, right. So, when you got into personal training, what did you use the degree program, or do you have like a National Academy of Sports Medicine, or?
Yeah. So at USD is a weird school because it's like it's private. But like 'cause they didn't once I realized that I wanted to get into training, I had already declared my major at USD, so it was too late. Like I wasn't about to switch my major to kinesiology, or not that USD even offered it because they didn't, which sucked. But it was like, I'm not going to transfer schools or anything like that when I can, just look up ACE or NASM, whatever, and
Hmm.
go about it that way. So that's what I did because USD they offered a couple classes. Like obviously you couldn't minor or major in anything even like remotely close to like a kines major, but they offered an ACE course and I did that, and I think there was like some other nutrition course, which was pretty. I dropped that class because it was like the teacher was retarded, or
Yeah.
I don't. Can I say yeah?
Say whatever you
The
want.
teacher was she was fucking stupid,
This
and
isn't
like
CNN. Say whatever you want.
yeah, it was like I didn't know a lot, but I looked at the professor like, yo, you don't know shit either, so
Yeah.
I'm not gonna waste my credits on this class. So I went that route to start. I took the ACE course at USD and then tested for it at San Diego State, like took the official test or whatever. So I have my certification through ACE, which was fucking 2014.
Yeah.
Um, 20, it was 2014, and then from there, like when I was working at Classy, like Pete and Legion, they didn't really care about certifications, all that.
The CrossFit
Um,
gym.
yeah, but I wasn't like I didn't have my L1, but I wasn't teaching CrossFit classes either. Like they had me teaching like a body weight conditioning class there,
Right, right.
and they were fine with the certification that I had. And then when I got to Equinox, like they were fine with ACE. But like I said, like Equinox has their own little school of education. So I became certified in like, I don't know if you've ever heard of a Viper or anything like that, like just through Equinox. So
Is
just
that
gaining knowledge that
what is
way.
that?
Viper is that like tube looking thing. It's
Okay.
VIPR. It's a functional training tool. It's the backstory to it was in Canada, I don't know, maybe 30 years ago, there was a hockey coach and you know, he was training like a collegiate hockey team or some shit like that. And super bougie, super expensive school. They had like all the best training equipment, best weight rooms, all that. And so they played this team from like the cuts, basically like a farmer boys, and they got their asses kicked. So they're looking like, why are these little farmer boys stronger than us when we have all this top of the line equipment, this great weight room, and all that. So he went and met some of the farmer kids on the hockey teams and saw that they were out there like picking up bales of hay and moving functionally and training their body in different ways, so they were like overall fit,
Yeah.
whereas his guys were just strong on a bench press or strong on a squat. So then from that it kind of inspired him to I think he got like a roll of carpet and was just fucking moving it in different directions, and then that ended up turning into a Viper. So it's like this rubber tube that has handles on it in different parts of it, and you can like press it and pull and just different shit with it. So
It's kind of
it's
like the
actually it's weirdly challenging.
yeah,
Like, because when I got to Equinox and I saw it, I was like, I'm fucking throw around tubes and shit. Like, the
yeah,
fuck? This shit's weird. But then you do it and it's like, okay, like, all
yeah.
right, you guys are on something here. So,
Does the weight
um,
shift in it?
no, it
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
ship, but they have different sizes of it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
like, you have the smallest one is like 12 pounds and then the biggest one is like 40.
Okay.
But yeah, that was at Equinox. And then, like, since Equinox, like, I have my TRX cert. I'm taking a kettlebell cert on the 11th, so that'll be fun. I'm
Okay.
like way into kettlebells now, so that's kind of cool.
Oh,
Um,
I am too. I just did Dan John's 10,000 kettlebell swings in a month like
yeah.
workout thing.
How'd you break that up?
He breaks it up into clusters. So I actually wrote a blog post about it, but I think I forgot to publish it. He does, so you do 10, and then you do a set of 15, then you do a set of 25, and then you do a set of 50, and that's like one
Okay.
cluster. And
Yeah, yeah.
in between the like 10, 15, and 25, there's a different movement each day. Like sometimes it's push press and sometimes it's pull up
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And you do 5 clusters in a workout.
Okay. That'd be
So
cool. I have to check it out.
yeah, it's pretty cool. You could just type in like Dan John kettlebell workout and it'll come up. I did it because I like wanted to like radically, I wanted to like strengthen my posterior chain. Like
Mm-hmm.
in ultra marathons, those things like start falling apart on me,
Right.
like my posterior chain. And then because of that, like over the course of a super long race, it would start beating my quads up and my
Mm-hmm.
knees start hurting, whatever. But by the end of that month, like, dude, I felt like my posture was fixed. Like I felt good.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this shit's crazy. That's what I don't know. I feel like I'm evolving quite a bit as a trainer, whereas before, like you want to do the things that look cool and are popular that you see on Instagram and stuff. And then you realize, like, well, that was the other thing I realized. Like, most of these people that, they may have super huge followings, not to knock them, but I guarantee you, none of these people are actually training people in person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
They
it's like,
just
even if
sell like
they,
online templates.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like even if they are training people in person, they're not having them do all this like cool crazy shit that they're posting on their pages. So, just for me, like it's been nice like trying to like getting out of that basic like even the bodybuilding stuff or like the booty program type of shit and like just actually getting more functional and like owning and knowing my shit so I'm not like as one dimensional with my training where I can have clients that are 12 years old and 50 as well,
Yeah.
so yeah, like I'm way into kettlebells, stuff like that now, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just built that workout too, by the way, Dan John.
You just
Save
looked it
that for
up?
later. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, the first 2 weeks I was lit up. I was tore up so bad, but um, by the end of the second week, I was like feeling okay. And then by the
Mhm.
end of like the third week, I was like money. And now I feel like I could bust it. Now, what I did is once I finished it, because I didn't want to lose it all, I just start every workout with like 150 kettlebell swings.
Mhm.
But
I'll do that as like a finisher sometime too. Like just
yeah.
fuck around, hit 100 kettlebell swings for time, like something random.
Yeah, I like it because it's a good dynamic compound, movement. So something you mentioned earlier is your nutrition class. You said you didn't like it.
I don't know if it was more so. Granted I gave it 3 days, um, or 3 classes, but
Gave it the
I don't know if it
college
was.
try.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the professor or like the actual content because I don't know if you ever watched Kim Possible. You're a little older than me, but like there's this fucking professor on
Gonna
Kim
be a
Possible,
no for me.
and he looks kind of like a. Do am I exposing my age right now?
I don't know.
With a Kim Possible reference. Well, there was this professor on Kim Possible, and he looked and sounded just like him, and I was just like, I can't do this. I can't take this guy seriously right now. So, because he was
Gotcha.
very like top heavy and had little tiny legs, but he was like 6'4". So just
Yeah, yeah. Well, something I would like. What jarred my memory is like I was thinking about. I was having this conversation with a buddy the other day, but it's weird because you have to like science and like traditional schooling doesn't always catch up with best practice and fit.
yeah, I think that the book was from like '99.
Right. And it
So
was probably
it's
like
like,
heavy regulated or heavily influenced by the
mm-hmm,
FDA. Like,
mm-hmm,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like these just like like parts of our government that influence like nutrition, which should, right? Like
It
lobbying.
was like one of those old school PE books that they gave you in like sixth grade. That was the book we were studying from. So
Yeah.
I guess it was a mix of the content and the professor.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I just couldn't.
I'm a big fan of like knowing, especially like when it comes to supplements and stuff. Like I'm a really big fan of obviously like double blind studies, but at the same
Mhm.
time, like there's a good chance that for whatever reason, like the education just hasn't caught up to like whatever's like the best practice at the time. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, I still have friends that are like, I can't have fat, right? Just like, where the fuck did you hear that? BuzzFeed.
It kills me. Like I
Okay.
literally, yeah, it kills me.
Like, all right. I saw that video too. I didn't know people actually bought into it, but yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Like, the freaking I don't know if you saw I posted it on my Facebook page. Oh, it makes me cringe so bad. There was this video BuzzFeed put out like we trained like the Kardashians for a week.
No. What is this?
That is why I don't like the fitness industry because I feel like that's what people associate it with is like the Kardashians and stuff like that.
Which is
And it's
crazy.
like going on the gram and seeing people that look up to the Kardashians but are online trainers.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, I can't do this. I've thought about deleting my Instagram many times.
Really? Well, BuzzFeed is a master of the clickbait too, so you got to take that with a grain of
That is very true, but that it wasn't clickbait. Like they were serious,
salt. Yeah.
and it was like the most pathetic 6 days of working out I've ever seen.
God.
Blasphemous, just
Oh
terrible.
man. Let's have a moment of silence for the fitness industry after
I'm
that.
saying, like Jesus Christ, and then you look at yourself like this is what I want to be into.
Right.
This,
Yeah,
this
it's
is what I
true.
went to college for.
God. So, all right. So you have the. I don't want to get too derailed on the Kardashians. So you worked for Equinox and the corporate thing, and you've also done your own thing. So people that are looking to go to start personal training and to go into the fitness industry, what do you recommend? Like, why would somebody want one versus the other?
I think it's a matter of like one personality and two just like knowing your overall like your end game here. Cause like I say personality one just because I don't know, I'm not like a rebel or anything, but a little bit more on the rebellion side. You know what I mean? Where it's like I don't buy into shit easily. And
Mm-hmm.
like with the Equinox thing, like I don't know how
Just like
much you know about
skeptical.
Equinox, but yeah, cuz like their whole thing is marketing, one, and it's like a certain demographic of people that they're appealing to and how they market. So like the first time the only reason I knew about Equinox was from Kanye West, so that says a lot right there.
True.
Um, and when I got to Houston, I saw it and I was like, fuck it, why not? I'll just try it. And as soon as I walked in there, you have this huge banner of three naked women in a pool full of money. And it's like hashtag commit to something. That's their slogan. It's commit to something. Or Equinox made me do it, the two of those. So
Gotcha.
you walk in and you're looking at these naked ass women
Yeah.
that and it's like that is y'all's brand. Like Equinox is a brand more so than a gym. Um,
Yep.
but it's like okay. And from that moment, like just kind of going with it, like I just never really bought into it. And I think it has everything to do with personality because they hired me on with five other trainers and like two of us quit within the 5 months and we were very similar. Like we were the whole time we're like, this shit's stupid. I can't buy into this. Like whereas the other three were like they drank the Kool-Aid so quick. They were about that life.
Mm-hmm.
Um so I think with like I don't know, anyone who wants to get into training, definitely know like where you fall along that line of like corporate, private, whatever it is, like have a purpose for what you're doing. If you're just looking, don't think about the money at first because you're not going to make money from the start as a trainer
Yeah.
unless you like really, well, you haven't been doing this because you're getting into it. But like so many people just do it for the money to start. And then those are usually the people that like are online trainers or whatever the fuck they claim to be. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't last long. Like they die out relatively soon because like they're not making money and they realize it's harder than it seems. So
Yeah.
I'd say to just like identify why the fuck you're doing it. Like, yeah, it sounds great to say you want to help people and change people's lives or whatever, but at the end of the day, like so many people just care about that. And so if that's your goal, then yeah, corporate gym would probably suit you a little bit better just because you kind of have that like I don't want to say like fucked up perspective, but you know what I mean? Like,
Well, you have to buy into the system for sure. But
yeah,
there's a lot of
exactly.
people I think that it's a lot easier. Like they want to kind of work in a gym, and it's a lot easier to kind of turn your brain off and just like march to
Yeah,
the
to
beat.
go with
You
what they're
know?
telling you. Like, it's much easier to walk into a 24-hour fitness or an LA Fitness and they have a set program for what they do with their trainers and how
Right.
you're supposed to clients and how much you have to charge them as opposed to going to a gym and they're like this is our rate you pay us $500 a month and you can do whatever you want and you're completely independent um but it's like I think it takes a certain like entrepreneurial spirit to feel that way
Yeah.
Because even the friends that I have, like, not many of them, like, people, like, I still have friends that think I'm fucking crazy. Like,
For going
you
out on your
graduate,
own.
yeah, like, you graduated from the University of San Diego. The first thing you wanted to do is become a personal trainer, like, by yourself at
Yeah.
no gym. Smart. Did they teach you anything in 4 years? You know what I mean? But it's like, that's what I grew up around. Like, my parents own their own businesses. Like, that is what I know. So that made sense to me. Like, why would I go and try and work at a 24-hour fitness or somewhere like that for someone else when I know I'm going to have to give at least 50% of the money that I made from training to someone else? Like,
Right.
it was a no-brainer for me. Now, that didn't work out as well as I had hoped it would, but like, I'm still here and I'm still pushing for it. So I think, I guess that kind of still ties into personality, just like knowing your goal as a trainer and that vision or whatever vision you have. If it's something temporary, like most athletes get into personal training just because they have that background. But it's like, are they doing it just as an in between thing? Is it something they actually see themselves doing for a while? Like, I think it depends on what your overall goal of being a trainer actually is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I mean, it's easy for us. Like the first gym I ever worked at, because when I was a personal trainer, was at Bally's, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna pay. You charge $25 to the customer, and then by the end, like you get paid like $9 on that, and
Yeah.
in that hour." And I just remember sitting there, but we're both entrepreneurial driven, so it's easy for us to kind of sit
Hmm.
back and shit on that. But it's like I'm like, hold on, no, if I'm doing the work, you're paying me
Yeah.
25.
Yeah, and then
You know what I mean?
that's how it was at Equinox, just on a larger scale. You have $112 sessions and I'm getting 26,
Yeah,
and I'm supposed to be happy about that.
yeah,
So like, I had, like I said, I had the three coworkers that were, they didn't care. They worked at Equinox. They were fucking proud. I'm looking like,
yeah,
y'all, it costs her 112 to train with you. You got 26 of those dollars.
yeah.
26.
But the trade off is you don't have to be like at night, like worrying about how the hell you're going to pay your bills sometimes when people cancel, or how you're going to market. Because, that's something I've talked to a lot of people about, is like, you might want to get in the fitness industry, but you need to realize like you're still getting into industry. Like you're still
Hmm.
running a business, and you're going to have to do all
Yeah.
those back end business things that aren't what you even
And
wanted.
like, that's honestly why I appreciate group fitness a little bit. Not appreciated, but it's a little less hustle oriented. Because like at this place I'm working at now, I just show up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
get paid for this.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? I'm not hustling for clients. I don't have to worry about getting clients. Like, there's gonna be people that show up for my class, and I'm gonna get paid for it. So it takes the ease off a little bit, but I mean, I don't know. It just goes back to what you're looking for.
hmm,
Like, financially, it helps out a lot when you have that to rely on. Like, hey, I have this group class or
for sure.
group training, whatever you're doing. It's
Yep.
not as stressful as personal training, but this shit's not for the weak-hearted at
Yeah.
all, or people that are broke.
Right. Right. So, in your opinion, how do you make money in the fitness industry, as a personal trainer?
Actually training people,
Yeah.
like getting clients. It depends though. Like, I don't have much of a following. That's probably like the way I do it is probably like different from someone who has, at least 10,000 followers or more. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Because I feel like when you're at that point, people approach you more for training. Whereas like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to try as hard. Like, people see that as soon as they go on your page, like, oh, she looks legit just because of her followers, and it's more of like they reach out to you.
Yep.
Whereas me, it's like it's a constant, like everything I have, like I freaking did that. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
constant struggle and hustle, but for me, that's the only way to make it right now is just you just got to keep hustling because obviously I'm not at that point to where I'm just book solid because people see the gram or whatever else and they know of me and like just want to train with me. I'm not there yet,
Yeah.
but that's, I don't know, that's how I see it, is making it and just being clear on how you're going to make it or what you're wanting to do to make it within the industry.
Yeah. Like starting out with the end in mind is definitely, like,
Yeah.
no matter what the hell you're doing in life. Actually, you're right. Yeah, and something I see you doing a lot, which is good, and what my opinion, the best way to like really establish yourself in the fitness industry is to like really put out quality content that like brings value to people as much as you can, and then
Yeah.
like establish yourself as a thought leader, and then go
Hmm.
about it that way. And I see you doing that because I see you putting out like videos, instructional videos, and stuff like that. So hopefully
Yeah.
more people will like get on that train and less on the selfie train.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's like for me too, I'm kind of struggling because it's like I'm in Sacramento right now,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't really want to be here. So it's like it's kind of hard to like be somewhere, build a following, knowing that you don't want to stay here for too long. And
Yeah.
it's like you're going to move again, have to build up that following again. So location plays a big part in it too. That's why I've kind of like, I have my Facebook page. That page was based in San Diego. So majority of the people that follow that page are in San Diego.
Yep.
And it's like now I'm in Sacramento. So I don't know. I kind of feel like it's somewhat pointless for me to, like, my posts have definitely changed a bit from being here because I can't like market it as like, hey, this is the shit I'm doing. Come check it out on Saturday with me at the workout. Like, I
Right.
can't do
Right.
that because I'm not there. So, yeah, that definitely location where you want to build your base plays a big part in it, unless you're just like fucking nationwide because you
Right.
got so many. But
Yeah.
for us little people,
Right.
it's kind of difficult sometimes.
But that's probably, you would find that with personal trainers if they were actual personal trainers and not like selling templates and stuff like that. No matter where you
Yeah.
are, because like my friend of the brand Kale, she was on one of the
Oh
episodes
yeah, I remember
earlier.
her.
Yeah, she was on one of the earlier episodes, and she had the same problem. Like she wanted to move, but she's like, such a huge
To
chunk of her
move that
following
following
was in San
gone.
Diego. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so you can't say like, hey, I have this class at this time, and like people in
And
San
that's what
Diego
I'm
are like,
trying to tell the people. The gym I work at right now, it's called Fitness Rangers. These guys, they just have no fucking clue about social media to begin with. But they're always like, yo, T, drop a post on your Instagram. Like, you always post this stuff, but you don't post about Fitness Rangers. And I'm like, y'all, you guys you're not realizing that the following of people that I have on social media, they're not in Sacramento. So they do not care that I have a class at 9 a.m. tomorrow in Sacramento. There's
yeah,
no point in me posting like for you
yeah.
guys. And I try and tell them that every single time and they just don't get it. Like, hey T, like make sure you tag us and post about your ropes class where I'm like, okay, yeah,
right,
sure.
right.
For what? Everyone that likes it doesn't live here. They're not coming, in
Yeah,
case you were wondering.
yeah. No, I mean, you would see that though with a lot of different personal trainers, I think. So, is there anything else that you want to talk about or plug, or how can people follow along with you and support what you're doing?
I'd say mainly on Instagram. Right now it's at Tara.Nicole1. I try and stay active on there, but sometimes I just get busy. Sometimes, like I said, I get down on myself because I think in the back of my mind I still have that pipe dream of being IG famous and
Yeah,
you may not get as many likes on a dope picture as you were expecting, and then it's just kind of like, what the fuck is the point? Like I'm over this. But yeah, that's probably the best way to connect and really like see what I'm doing. Or I'm not one of those trainers though that clogs my feed with the clients that I have.
hmm,
But I'm big on the Instagram story now. So, like, I don't know if people are curious. Like, I post a lot of my clients and, well, the ones that are cool with being on camera and on my Instagram, I put it on my story. So, it's not on my actual feed. Like, you got the 24 hours to go check it out. But
yeah.
basically, daily, I'm posting at least one client's workout or part of it.
Oh, nice.
Um, so, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's starting to work a little bit more too. Like, I get more views on the Instagram story than I do if I were to post a video on just like you know what I mean, like just a regular post. I get more views on the story, which I don't know like how accurate it is, if it's just like people skipping through it or if it do you know I don't do you know how that works?
I think if they skip through it, but they looked at it, it's gonna show up.
It's still, yeah, it counts
Yeah,
as a view. So
yeah.
yeah,
But
people want training tips or whatever else or ideas. Probably peeking out the story is a good way to do that.
yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Well, thanks for being on.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Lionheart Radio. Subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. And don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. For all of your supplement needs and for show notes, visit luaviv.com.